This video is brought to you by PlayTracker, the app that tracks your cross-platform game library, achievements, stats, and more. Stick around to the end to find out more. Welcome back to another year of Unpacked. The world doesn't feel much better than it did in 2025, but we're for sure in for another year of fascinating stories that will come out of the games industry. For the first Unpacked of 2026, I wanted to go over some general predictions I have for the games industry. These first few won't be all that surprising, but I do think they'll be some of the bigger headlines of the year. Without further ado, let's get right into it. Despite all the negativity around Xbox in 2025, the publisher actually had a pretty solid year for game releases. They finally achieved their long-term goal of having new first-party games during every quarter of the year, and Game Pass included many of the year's top games like Expedition 33, Blueprints, and Hollow Knight Silksong. It's unfortunate that a lot of that good was undercut by the price increase of Xbox Game Pass, the closure of the initiative, and the cancellation of their debut title Perfect Dark, alongside the cancellation of Rare's Everwild, not to mention the many third-party deals that were cancelled, Microsoft's incessant pushing of AI, and a general unease around the Xbox brand and what its future holds. At this point though, we're kinda used to that pattern with Xbox. 2026 is the 25th anniversary of Xbox, however, and all signs seem to be pointing towards a pivotal year for the brand. As of right now, we're expecting to see all 4 of Xbox's major franchises in 2026, including Forza Horizon 6, which will be set in Japan, the remake of the original Halo, which will also be releasing on PlayStation for the first time, Gears of War's long-awaited return with Gears of War E-Day, and the game I'm most personally excited about, Playground's Fable. I think 2026 will be the year that really drives home the fact that Xbox isn't a console brand anymore, but a platform and publisher. And to me, that makes sense as Microsoft has always been more about the software than the hardware. Xbox consoles aren't going to stop being made as Microsoft has made clear they're working on a next-generation machine. But I do think the console itself will become more of a luxury option rather than the essential piece of hardware needed to play Xbox titles. Personally, what I care about most is Xbox delivering games I want to play. They have an incredible wealth of talent across their first-party studios that really doesn't feel like they've hit anywhere near their potential with the resources available to them. I'm appreciative of the variety we've gotten with games like South of Midnight, Avowed, Keeper, etc., but I really want Xbox to compete with Sony on industry-leading games. I think both Fable and Gears of War E-Day could be those titles for Xbox, and I think they'll be confirmed for PlayStation as well, which really shouldn't be surprising considering even Halo is making its way to PlayStation now. What Xbox really needs is consistency going forward, and not the kind of constant pendulum swinging that has plagued the brand for over a decade now. "2025 was a very quiet year for Ubisoft. Aside from supporting previously released titles, the publisher only released Assassin's Creed Shadows, Just Dance 2026, and Anno Pax Romana. They also released a 1.0 version of the Rogue Prince of Persia. Interestingly, Avatar Frontiers of Pandora has seen a big resurgence following the release of the latest Avatar movie and the coinciding expansion, with the game hitting the top sellers list on Steam and a new concurrent player count record. That said, as far as future plans from the publisher, we know very little. The recent deal with Tencent saw them form Vantage Studios, which is now the home of Rainbow Six, Far Cry, and Assassin's Creed. They're still a subsidiary of Ubisoft, but with significant backing from Tencent. Ubisoft proper is still the home of franchises like Prince of Persia, The Division, Ghost of Recon, etc. There was no big Ubisoft press event in 2025, as the publisher spent the last year restructuring its business, focusing on supporting previously released games, and staying relatively quiet about their future plans. But I think we'll start hearing a lot more in 2026. Rumors have long been circulating about the next Far Cry, Ghost Recon, and The Division titles, the first 2 of which I believe we will surely hear about and see a release for this year. We're also expecting an early 2026 release for one of the industry's worst kept secrets, the Assassin's Creed Black Flag remake. Ubisoft also has the Prince of Persia remake, which seems to be gearing up for some announcements soon considering recent leaks around the game. Much like Xbox, I think Ubisoft is going to be focusing hard on revitalizing their key franchises in 2026 to rebuild excitement for the publisher and taking them to its next iteration. Whether you like Ubisoft or not, franchises like Far Cry, Ghost Recon, and Assassin's Creed all remain massive sellers. My guess is that we'll be hearing about the plans for the next big Ubisoft showcase before the end of the first quarter of this year, as Tencent looks to make good on its investment advantage, and Ubisoft proper looks to reassert itself in the industry. One of the big reasons for so many of the layoffs, studio closures, and game cancellations over the last few years was the massive amounts of money thrown into the games industry during the height of COVID. Millions upon millions of dollars were invested in studios all around the world, mainly in big live service projects, to try to capitalize on the increased amount of people playing video games while we were all stuck inside. Unfortunately, a hell of a lot of that money invested was for naught, as many of the studios making those games closed, projects were cancelled, and thousands of jobs were lost in the process. For a while, I felt like I was reporting on a big cancellation every few weeks, but in recent months, that's finally slowing down a bit. However, I unfortunately think we're on the verge of one more high-profile closure with 1047 Games and Splitgate. The original Splitgate was a huge success, and in 2021, developer 1047 raised a $100 million investment to their studio as they were working on Splitgate 2. The game launched in 2024, then unlaunched as it was met with a negative response from the community, and just relaunched in December, and it hasn't gone well. The game is failing to build a player base, and, well, between their blunder last year with a very out-of-touch hat and a rather defensive posture on social media about their current player counts, understandably to be fair, I don't see much of a future for Splitgate. A similar fate possibly awaits Wildlight Entertainment's upcoming Highguard, which was revealed at the Game Awards. Wildlight is another studio that formed during the height of COVID and is just now looking to release their first game, which is another free-to-play team-oriented shooter. I'll discuss this in more detail in next week's video, but in general, there's a lot of animosity towards that game even before anyone's gotten their hands on it. Regardless, record levels of investment were given to startup studios from 2020 to 2023, the industry has since contracted, and a lot of that investment has dried up at this point. I think we're still for sure going to see layoffs in 2026 due to other factors in the industry, namely AI and the price of goods going up thanks to tariffs and inflation, but I do think we're past the worst of the closures from studios that got funding during COVID and were shut down before releasing a single game. Now that I've shared some more general observations and predictions with you, I wanted to go through a quick list of a few of the wilder predictions that I have, and at the end of the year, we'll revisit and see what I got right. We'll get our first big publisher friend-swap game, and it will be a first-party game from Xbox. I think it's only a matter of time before one of the big publishers gets on board and tries to cash in. Rare, maybe? Marathon will be a surprise success for Bungie. After the success of Arc Raiders, I think interest in extraction shooters is at an all-time high right now, and the delay for Marathon to not only give it more development time, but also a better timed release, puts it in a good spot for success. Star Fox will be the next big Nintendo franchise to get the modernization treatment. Mario, Donkey Kong, Metroid, and The Legend of Zelda have all gotten modern game treatments. Star Fox seems like the next logical step to take. I would have said Yoshi, but we're getting a new game this year already. John Carpenter's Toxic Commando will be an early sleeper hit. The studio's previous game was World War Z and also became a big sleeper hit over time, selling over 5 million copies during its lifetime. Previews were recently positive for Toxic Commando despite the muted online response. The next game of the year will come from a studio in China. There's a lot of quality looking games being made by China-based developers right now. If they can nail down a story that resonates, I think there's a good chance this happens. Phil Spencer will step down by the end of 2026. If Microsoft Gaming gets entries to all 4 of their big franchises released this year, I think he'll want to leave on a high note and pass on the reins. Honor of Kings World will be the next billion-dollar gacha hit. I played this at PAX West last year and have been waiting to hear for a release date announcement ever since. A major game will have an AI controversy, and it won't be for plagiarism, but an NPC having a grok moment. I don't think I need to explain this one any further. Squadron 42 will be delayed to 2027. Sorry, I had to. Rare will announce a Viva Pinata 3 or reboot so that Xbox has a live service Animal Crossing-like game that generates endless revenue for them. Look, I've asked for it for years, and at some point, they're gonna give in.
This video is brought to you by Play Tracker, the app that tracks your cross-platform game library, achievements, stats, and more. Play Tracker works by connecting to various gaming platforms and combining all your data in one place. It offers a unified cross-platform social experience, advanced game library labeling and sorting, fun challenges and progression system, and stats about games and the types of players who enjoy them. Play Tracker is for all kinds of gamers, like this one.
My top tags across all platforms are dating sim and psychological horror. I'm sure that says nothing about me as a person.
And this one.
My mate Captain Toe Jam 96 and I have a lot of games in common. We should tackle some challenges together.
And even me! I'm better than all of you. Unite your gaming multiverse with PlayTracker today and join the official Second Wind Guild to unlock exclusive profile decorations by playing games recommended by us, a group of ostensibly professional gamers with allegedly great taste in games. Ooh.